back three, baby.
You
Hey, you
forgot.
drove in one of their 2 runs yesterday.
Oh, my God. I'm
They'll
so
be
sick of it.
they very well might be 3-3 in less than 72 hours. So
Boys, what a weekend it was across Minnesota sports. So much to react to. So we're not just going to focus on one topic. I think we've got 3 or 4 topics we're going to start off with, but none more pressing and none more entertaining than the one that Nolan witnessed firsthand last night at Target Center. Just a barroom brawl at Target Center. Nolan, how about you recap the 7 ejections, soon to be suspensions, I would imagine at some point. What the hell happened at Target Center last night?
Yeah, it was a pretty fun one. It's not every game you get to go and get to see a fight like that. I mean, basically what happened, it was a really chippy game from the start. There seemed to be a little bit of bad blood on both sides. Malik Beasley kind of got off to a hot start, was knocking down three after three and talking trash. And there's some little chippiness. Dante DiVincenzo and I think it was Ron Holland initially and Isaiah Stewart kind of getting into it a little bit. And then chaos kind of broke out after Nas got fouled. Driving to the hoop, and Ron Holland was chirping at him, and him and Dante started shoving each other. It goes into the stands, and pure chaos, huge brawl, and yeah, 7 ejections. Dante, Nas, Pablo Prigioni for the Wolves, assistant coach, JB Bickerstaff, Pistons head coach, and Marcus Sasser, Isaiah Stewart, and Holland all get ejected. So it was pretty fun, pretty entertaining. Not great that it went into some fans, but quite the exciting game. And it seemed to spark the Wolves because after that, they kind of rallied and put them away.
You guys think Pistons fans can't stand Isaiah Stewart the way I would think Minnesota fans wouldn't like a player like that? Like if Draymond
You-
Green played for the Timberwolves, everyone would be like, God, just stop talking. Just stop talking. But it seems like Detroit celebrates that kind of player.
I feel like
I think
everybody loves those guys when they're on your team and hates them
yeah.
when they're not on your team. You think Warriors fans hate Draymond? They love Draymond.
Yeah, not Warriors fans. That's a good point.
Look how we all
Yeah.
treated Pat Bev when he was not on the Wolves. But then
True.
when he came
Yes.
here, we're all like, this guy's the greatest. And now that he's gone, it's like, okay, well, whatever. We don't care about you anymore. Well,
Yeah, that's
Yeah,
true. I've been shut up instantly. My bad.
no, I think Pistons fans love Isaiah Stewart, even though he seems to only be known for getting himself involved in these moments, which is unfortunate because I think he actually is a decent basketball player if you look beyond box score and things like that. But yeah, this seemed to be building. Just watching it on TV, Beasley chirping at everybody, some physicality definitely that the Pistons were trying to bring without Cade Cunningham, without Tobias Harris. They've been a really good team this year, as diehard Wolves fans will know, since the Wolves are getting their pick, which is not going to be in the lottery. But yeah, this was quite something that you just don't see very often in an NBA game, and it had to be related to a lot of the stuff that had happened throughout the first half, and certainly I would imagine some things that were being said between players, because the foul that set it off wasn't even a hard foul. Like, it was just a very normal Ron Holland trying to stop Naz Reid from getting a wide open layup type of foul. And then Naz starts pointing at him, and Dante jumps in, and yeah, all I'll say is I'm fully ready to die about Dante DiVincenzo after that evening. That was that was great stuff, standing up for his teammates, and ended up with a big scratch on his neck, getting tossed from the game. Hopefully, Dante and Naz will not be suspended for too long, but we'll have to see what happens there. But a big win for the Wolves to keep pace with the Warriors and gain a game on the Clippers.
I guess that is the question next, Nolan, is what could these suspensions look like after this, based off of what previous precedent has been set by the league? What are we expecting? I mean, there's only 7 games left in the season for the Wolves. They're trailing the Warriors by half a game, trailing the Grizz by a game and a half, with still 7 games left. But if you're missing some players, that could go on to impact you, especially with the 5-game road trip coming up. How long are we expected to be missing some of these guys who were involved in this?
Yeah, I guess it's kind of a question that remains to be seen. It feels like Dante, if someone's gonna get suspended from the Wolves, it'd probably be Dante since it was kind of him and Holland initiating everything and setting it off. And it feels like because it went into the crowd, they're probably going to come down with some sort of punishment. But if you ask Anthony Edwards, he thinks that there shouldn't be any suspensions. There should just be some loss of money, I think was his quote. But yeah, I guess it'll kind of remain to be seen. There's been kind of varying suspensions. Looked at a couple of them last night with those situations. 2 to 4 games seems about where it's at. I don't know exactly what they do. I mean, there were no punches thrown, so there's that. But it feels like with the crowd that there's probably going to be something. But I guess we'll see. If it happens, it probably happens today. They'll announce certainly some fines and then probably a suspension or two. Seems like Stewart is another one. He's got 6 flagrant fouls this year, I believe. So he's kind of got a reputation and could probably get a suspension there too for the Pistons. But it'll be interesting to see, and it's tough because they got a big game at Denver coming up tomorrow night. So if they're going to be down Dante, possibly Nas, that certainly doesn't help their case there.
Well, if they go as far as 4 games, I could see them doing that since it spilled into the crowd. And I would think that Dante's probably suspect number one for a 4 game hit, and then Nas Reed would be suspect number two for a 4 game ban. I hope they don't go that long, but if they do, get it over and done with now because the Wolves are going on a 5 game road trip. Nolan, you said it, Tuesday night against Denver. You want that suspension to start immediately because the next 5 games are Denver, Brooklyn, Philly, Milwaukee. That 5th game, you don't want to be missing anybody because it could be huge in terms
Mhm.
of, chasing down a top 6 seed and maybe if the Wolves get some luck, the 4th seed because that 5th game is April 10th at Memphis. You do not want to be shorthanded for that game, and that could pay huge dividends to whoever wins that game. So if they get some lengthier suspensions, I want them to start it as soon as possible. Don't delay.
Yeah, I think it's a pretty safe bet that the Wolves will not have Dante or Nas for the Tuesday night game in Denver. Nas kind of initiating the whole thing, like I said, with after not even a hard foul. So I would be shocked if he isn't suspended. And then Dante kind of standing up for his guy and escalating it and not intentionally having it spill into the stands, but that is what happened. I think Stewart should get the longest suspension of anybody. If you watch that video that a fan took from right behind the scrum on the baseline, and he's like going after Nas Reed's head when Nas is on the ground in the middle of the whole thing. That was not good. And then Dante kind of shoving him and others to try to get him off of him. But yeah, this hopefully it's not more than 4 games, like you said, because sneakily the Wolves could very much catch the Memphis Grizzlies, who just fired their head coach Taylor Jenkins. I mean, I was thinking even just a couple of days ago was looking at the race for the 6th seed between the Wolves, the Clippers, and the Warriors. But all of a sudden, the Grizzlies just lost to the Lakers. Wolves are only 1.5 back of Memphis with a game at Memphis. And I think Memphis's next 2 games are like Boston and Golden State or
That's
something like
correct.
that.
Yep.
Um,
Yep.
and the Wolves, after this tough Denver game, though they have kind of owned Denver the last couple times, they get 2 of the worst teams in the NBA in the Nets and Sixers. So the Grizzlies are right there, which means the Clippers or the Warriors aren't the only avenues for the Wolves to stay out of the play-in. So yeah, certainly hoping that the suspensions are on the shorter end, and it'll be very interesting to see what Adam Silver and the league decide there.
Yeah, and
Yeah.
I don't think the Lakers are out of Minnesota's reach either if they can keep winning
No,
because the Lakers have a big one tonight, Monday night against Houston. Houston's hot. Then they have Golden State on Thursday, a cupcake against New Orleans on Friday. But then this is where it gets really fun and where Minnesota could maybe catch up quite a bit. Next Sunday and Tuesday, 2 games at OKC for the Lakers. Oklahoma City is a
yeah.
freaking monster. They might win 70 games. It's crazy how good they are. So the Lakers and that 4 seed, it's within striking distance. It's still pretty unlikely, but the chance is there now.
So
Lakers look like they'll win their division though, so they would have the tiebreaker for that. Wolves and
No,
Lakers
later.
split this year.
Yeah, lame.
let's wrap up the Wolves portion of this conversation. Going around the horn quickly. 7 games left in the season. Obviously, the suspensions will impact what the Wolves can do. But as you guys said, the race for a top 6 seed is clearly underway. The Wolves just half a game out. Nolan, I'll start with you, then Joe, then Will. Where will the Wolves finish this season?
That's a good question. I don't know. I think it's going to be really tough for them to sneak into the top 6. It's possible, but it's kind of a situation where they got to win out the next 7 here, and they need the Warriors or the Grizzlies or the Lakers to drop quite a few games down the stretch. So I think the chances are they probably are going to be right where they are now, around that 7th seed and in the play-in. But I do think there's a shot if they can win out, which they can. It's just the one thing stopping them would be them. It's like when they play their best, this is still a really good team, and I'm kind of excited to see what happens when they get to the playoffs, and there's going to be that just sense of urgency the whole time. Seems like maybe they'll have it then. Because even last night, right? It's like these games are all super important. They were kind of sleepwalking out there against the Pistons until that brawl broke out and the physicality, and they kind of woke up. So I think they really just kind of thrive on that. I mean, Rudy Gobert said it the other night, like almost fear, right? Like they almost thrive on fear. Well, there's no better fear than the play-in and the playoffs. So I'm excited to see what this team does, and I do think they can win out, and maybe some games go their way, but I think it's probably going to be the play-in, unless they just get lucky here with Golden State or Memphis inexplicably deciding to fire Taylor Jenkins and that just kind of tanking them too. So I guess we'll see. But I guess my prediction right now would be that they'll probably end up in the play-in. I think they stay ahead of the Clippers. They have the tiebreaker, so if their records match, they'd be ahead of the Clippers. So my prediction would be they stay where they're at the 7th seed.
Joe?
I'm gonna go. They get the 6, and I'm gonna go. Golden State gets the 5, and I think Memphis slides back into the play-in. Memphis is, I think, 2-6 or 7 in their last 8 or 9 games. They are not playing well. It is dysfunction. I don't know how an interim head coach is going to settle things down. I just think they're sliding in the wrong direction, and they have a tough schedule. It starts Tuesday when they host the Golden State Warriors. I can see Golden State going in there and winning that game. With Steph Curry healthy, since the Jimmy Butler trade, the Warriors are just epically good. I mean, they are so good. Steph hurt his tailbone, missed a couple of games. They lost both on the road to Atlanta and Miami. But other than that, they just have been cooking. I mean, they're 43-31. If you go back to the trade deadline when they were 25-26, that's an 18-5 record. And without Steph for 2 of those, they probably win both of those. So they're basically a 20-3 team, win healthy with Jimmy Butler and Steph Curry. They are a juggernaut right now, the way they're rolling, and they're one of the last teams.
I think it's 17-2 when those 2 guys are in the lineup. I saw.
Amazing. That's so good. So I can see them continuing to win, even though they have a difficult final, 2 weeks here. But I like Minnesota as long as, Nas and Dante don't end up with 4-game suspensions. That changes everything if they do. But if it's just a couple of games for both, I think the Wolves can overcome that and then stay ahead of the Clippers and leap the Grizzlies, because I think the Grizzlies are just going to fall back into the play-in. So I'm going to go number 6, and that would set them up for a first-round date potentially with Denver, which would be really fun once again.
Well,
yeah, I'm with Joe. I think they get out of the play-in. I mean, they're half game back of Golden State, no tiebreaker there. Half game up on the Clippers, they do have the tiebreaker. 1.5 games back of Memphis. They don't have to win out these final 7 to stay out of the play-in. They probably need to go 6-1. I mean, 5-2 would maybe do it if another team falls apart. And you look at some of the schedules, and that's not totally out of the question. And 4 of the Wolves' last 7 games are against tanking, horrible teams. They've got 2 against the Nets, 1 against the Sixers, who haven't been competing for 3 months, and then 1 against the Jazz, who are really, really awful. They should win all 4 of those games. Obviously, we saw they lost to the shorthanded Pacers and a very bad Pelicans team not that long ago. But they should be able to win those 4 games, and then if you can go 2-1 with the 3 road games of Denver, Milwaukee, and Memphis, or maybe even 1-2 does it. Like they've got a really good chance, I think, to get out of the play-in when you look at the schedule they have, and then the schedule the Warriors have, and the Clippers have, and the Grizzlies have, and the Lakers have. Lakers are unlikely, but I think they end up in the 6, maybe even the 5, just with the way that the schedules are set to unfold here. They're gonna have to play well, and like Joe said, the looming suspensions could potentially change things if they go real harsh on Nas and Dante. But I think the Wolves get out of the plan.
All right, so that's the Wolves conversation for today. Barroom brawl, and now going into the final 7 games of the season. On to more positive talk. Twins started off their season over the weekend. Joe's eyes say it all. It was not great, losing 3 of 3 to the St. Louis Cardinals. Now they head up to Chicago to take on the White Sox in the 3-game series that starts this afternoon. Joe, I'll start with you. Let's get the positivity rolling. Twins just looking great in the opening series. Not really. They looked awful. Joe, I know you were, I think, the lowest of all of us on the Twins going into the season, and I'm assuming this opening series did nothing to help that.
It did not do anything to help that. It's funny because all spring the Twins were talking about how, like, yeah, we're going to stop trying to hit all these home runs and it's going to be, bat on ball, let's make contact. But it was the Cardinals who did that all weekend long. 2 strikes, didn't matter. Pitchers couldn't finish guys off. I've already got the Rocco Baldelli pissing me off tracker at 2 because he's made 2 weird decisions where Joe Ryan's cruising, had thrown like 80 pitches, and he's like, all right, we're done, goes to the bullpen, and then, the lead expands for the Cardinals in the 2nd game of the season. So, I know he's got to build up his arm strength and all that stuff because, throwing 90 or 100 pitches could kill a guy. And then Harrison Bader, double in a homer. I mean, come on, he hit a double in the 9th inning against Helsley, whatever that elite closer for the Cardinals name is, Ryan Helsley. Homered earlier in the game. Next time out, bench. It's so stupid. And you know what? This one hits deep because when I was a junior in high school, I hit a home run in a subsection playoff game at Dick Putz Field in St. Cloud. You want to know what? I got benched the next day. I'm still not over it. I go to therapy for things like these. I have to erase the demons of my past and let the feelings sit in me like a monk. I just can't do it, though. And now that's what Harrison Bader's dealing with. Now he doesn't have confidence. His season's ruined. Of course, I'm stretching here, but overall, this team is not fun to watch. You hate the ownership. You hate the way the guy manages the game. You can't stand the way guys approach at bats. It's like Byron Buxton. You're supposed to be a freaking god. You came into this season healthy. I know it's been 3 games and I'm overreacting some, but I'm just mad. I'm tired of it. It's like you got a 3-1 count and then you're swinging at curveballs in the dirt. Like, who are you? You are not good. You're not a good baseball player. I mean, Willie Castro's struggling defensively at second base, but his bat is good. It's sad that Willie Castro's the best player on this team. It really is sad because it shouldn't be that way. Matt Wallner, leadoff hitter, Kyle Schwarber wannabe. Look, we can all have dreams, right? I'm not Reed Timmer. I'm not the greatest storm chaser in the world. Do I like to get in my car and go chase storms? Yeah, but I ain't Reed Timmer. I'm a danger to society when I do that because I'm looking at my phone as I'm driving in torrential rain. Reed's got sidekicks, right? He's got people helping him out with all the tech. Matt Wallner's not Kyle Schwarber. We got to stop living in this fake reality that the Minnesota Twins have put us in. And we got to own up to what is actually happening. Accept it, boys. You guys can roll your eyes all you want, but when they're 0-10 to beat that record from 2016 when they started 0-9, we'll see what happens. I mean, my God, if you get swept by Chicago, start chopping heads off, man. Guillotine this thing. It's over. I mean, Martin Perez, I'm going to say it right now. 7 innings, 2 hits or less, probably 8 or 9 Ks. I'm going with it today. They play at 1 o'clock. The season is already on the brink. Apathy has set in. The broadcast is, it's okay. Nobody could find it. It's just there's no joy here. It's been sucked out of me, and I'm the eternal optimist. Drop me in a volcano. Melt. I want to die. This is how I feel when I watch Twins baseball.
Well, it truly is amazing the effect the Twins have on Joe because he is overly optimistic about every other team in this market. I'd say overly optimistic generally about every team in this market. But then when it comes to the Twins, there is absolutely no joy whatsoever.
Yeah, I get it, and this is a similar conversation to the one we had before the season, and I wrote about a lot of the reasons why there just doesn't seem to be a ton of interest in this team between the ownership and the TV situation and the stars who can't stay healthy, and I get
Poor
it that
Pat.
that was a horrible opening series. That nothing went well there. They scored what 6 runs, I think, the
Yeah.
entire series. They gave up 19 of them. Bailey Ober was awful. Pablo Lopez continued his rough. He had a rough spring, and it continued into opening day. Joe Ryan was good, but it didn't go well, and I get it. I will just kind of try to be the voice of reason here and say that it was 3 games. There are 162 of these things. In football
Unfortunately,
terms, they basically finished the first quarter of the first game of the 17. The first quarter didn't go well. They threw a few picks. They're down like 14-0. But there's a lot of season left. And yeah, I just think patience. By the time people are watching this, hopefully they have already beaten the White Sox on Monday afternoon. Hopefully Chris Paddock shows up for that one. But
doubt
it
it.
is nice to get the White Sox as the second series of the year. I think everything is going to be okay. I still believe this to be a good Twins team. Joe Ryan was making his first start of the season. I have no issue with taking him out after 80 pitches, given that he had a shoulder injury last year. Um, Harrison Bader not playing Mickey Gasper. I have no issue with that. Harrison Bader has a career 90 OPS plus. He's not a very good hitter. Um, I just think Byron Buxton over 125 OPS plus for the last 5 seasons. Matt Wallner has a career 137 OPS plus. Carlos Correa was incredibly good last year. I'm a little slightly concerned with him since he didn't do anything in the spring. But I just think patience. This team has pitching. They have a bullpen. They have a lineup that has some dudes in it. It's not going to be an elite lineup, but I think it's going to be good enough to complement what should be some good pitching. So patience. I know
Huh.
that sucked. It completely was horrible to watch. But I will not be panicking until I will say at least like late April,
I don't
maybe
know.
May.
All these OPS plus numbers are nice and fancy, but it's like I passed my driver's test on the first try in a Suburban, you know. But I'm not Dale Earnhardt Jr. I'm not NASCAR. Like my metrics look good, but I can project
I have
myself
I have
into
no
those
idea.
situations, and
I
it's
don't know
not
how
as
those
good.
connect, but
I have no idea what you're going. The OPS plus numbers are just the measure of what these players have done in their Major League Baseball careers at the plate.
You know what it should
Um,
say? Zero, because they've done nothing.
Well, I
I've
think
said
now
I've
one thing
I've
we know
said
for
my
sure.
piece.
I think one thing we know for sure now is that they're going to look like the Bomba Squad today because Joe predicted 7 innings, 2 hits for Perez. So I think it's going to look like the Bomba Squad today.
are they breaking out
But
the torpedo bats?
they might be breaking
Only
out the
Ryan
torpedo. We'll see
Jeffers.
what happens. We'll see what happens here. But it's 3 games. There's 100, like Will said, there's 162. Games don't matter in baseball, and it just they don't. 3 games, they'll be fine. They couldn't hit the beginning of last year either, and then they went on the 12-game winning streak once they broke out the rally sausage, and they could run into the same issue again that they did last year, where they everybody gets hurt, and then it goes back to where it started. But that's kind of the risk you run when you got your 3 best hitters. One of them's not even playing right now, who are all very injury prone. I don't know. I get the frustration because I think that should just be with baseball in general, right? Because you could pretty much just hand the Dodgers the World Series trophy right now. But don't even bother playing the season. I could see
At least give us some
frustration with
emotion, right?
baseball,
I'd
but
like to see some emotion. Why does Roki Sasaki get to cry and everybody, react to it after his second bad start for the Dodgers? I would like to see Byron Buxton cry, show some emotion. I want to see Carlos Correa get a little frustrated. I want some emotion. I want some fire.
Roki Sasaki is
Corey
getting
Hunter
ripped to
would be
shreds on
pissed.
the internet for crying.
It's okay to cry.
Yeah,
The
I agree.
Twins
You
are
got to live in those
28th.
emotions.
They're 28th in baseball in batting average on balls in play, which just tends to even out over time. The Cardinals made a bunch of really good defensive plays. They didn't play well. They didn't hit the ball well, but they made some decent contact at times, and balls just didn't find gaps. It's going to even out. They are going to be okay. Um, That's
Now,
kind of me trying to speak that into existence because that was a bad first series. But
And because it's a long ass season, and if it's going to look like this all season long, it's going to be even longer.
yeah,
Yeah.
I just can't see a team with this much talent being 2016 bad or being as bad as they were basically every year from 2011 to 2014 when I was in high school. They stunk every year that year in that stretch. I just can't see this team being that bad with the amount of talent they have.
I think what's happened is that most people have checked so far out of baseball that teams like the Cardinals, who are on the up and up and not trying to do the same thing with the same people over and over again, they recreate their rosters, they call up their prospects. They're the teams that are going to make the leaps this year, right? You see the success from a lot of guys who you probably haven't heard of before if you were watching one of those first 3 games of the Twins, on St. Louis specifically. And the Twins just sit here and try to do the same thing again and again and again, right? And now we're going to get the same damn result that we typically get, which is injuries and mediocrity and massive slumps, months at a time for some of these guys. And you're going to see these new names, the people who have checked out of baseball don't know who they are. I mean, a lot of people, right? They're going to start to jump. And guys like Brendan Donovan or whoever the hell Lars Nootbaar is, these guys are going to start becoming household names while Byron Buxton, Carlos Correa, they fade off into the cornfields of the dreams of baseball, right? That's what's going to happen. It's just written in the stars, guys. You can't do the same thing over and over again.
Nootbaar's just the Cardinals' injury-prone good hitter. He's just hurt all the time. He's good.
Looked like a god when he was playing those first 3 games.
Yeah, this is.
I got nothing to add.
It's going to be a long season. Get used to
Will's
it.
really trying to pump up some bit of optimism, but he's just.
No, I can tell I'm starting to make him mad.
No. I'm not. I get it, and you can be a Twins fan however you want to be a Twins fan. I think they're gonna win at least 2 or 3 of this White Sox series. They're gonna be fine. I don't think they're gonna be a great team, but I do think they're gonna be right in the AL Central mix all year.
Just 5 days ago,
one horrible series.
Joe made some bold predictions.
Yeah, but you got to remember.
How quickly has he backtracked off of those?
It's got a complete 180.
I never believed any of them. I did that because the website's called Twins on SI, and we're supposed to pump it up a little bit. It's like, hey, let's get excited and talk about Matt Wallner being Kyle Schwarber. I'm sorry, it's unrealistic. It's unrealistic. He swings hard. You know what makes me mad? Matt Wallner takes his helmet off and does this every single time between every single pitch. It's like he looks inside his helmet and puts it back on. It's just these little things that I'm so annoyed with this team. I can't even stand their little habits. It just make me angry.
That's baseball. Every baseball player's got a lot of superstitions.
Yeah. What's more?
Was it Wilson Contreras who took the gum off of his bat, started eating it?
Yeah, that was weird.
Oh,
that's cool, man. That's a real ball player right there.
Sure, cool. That's not how I would describe that. I'm going to end this conversation with a question from completely out of right field. What's more likely, the Twins winning the AL Central and winning a playoff series, or the Bring Me the Sports staff going to CHS Field and finishing off and polishing off that 6-foot-long hot dog they have?
I'll start. I have type 1 diabetes. That would be so bad for me, but that is by far more likely.
I will say that thing looks pretty good if you got like 12 people to share it with. And Saints games are going to be fun this year because they've got Emmanuel Rodriguez and Luke Keyshaw and some really good pitching. Although you might want to go soon before the Twins
take them all.
Call all those guys up out of desperation.
So sad. No, I thought you were going to say they're already getting hurt.
Well, that's likely too.
Rodriguez jammed his thumb, so he'll probably be out a month. But
his thumbs must be real weak, man. He's got to do some thumb push-ups or something. I don't know. He's got to do something to strengthen those. Very weak, very sad. The future is bleak.
Nolan?
I'm in on the hot dog. I don't know. I don't have too high hopes, but usually Joe's the optimistic one here. I feel like I run pessimistic, so this is a new This is a new.
You're
They're
unsure
gonna win
what to do with
territory.
this territory.
They're
Yeah,
going to
not
win the
sure
AL
what to do.
You know
Central.
what?
I will say
with
they're going to win the AL Central.
With Apophis coming in 2032 and that other meteor that the NOAA, or not NOAA, but NASA has now denounced in 2029. The pole shifts, all these things, get in the bunker, boys. I guess I'm just getting more realistic about how the world is coming to an end soon. And my optimism doesn't have so much time. And with the Twins, so who put somebody put a headline out there this last weekend that the White Sox have better odds to or Jesus Christ has better odds of returning this year than the White Sox do to go to the playoffs. It's something you can actually bet on. Like, that's where we're at.
That's amazing.
That's where we're at. Like, he's coming back, boys. Get ready. And the Twins, the Vikings, we're never going to get what we desire.
You've only got limited time. You're not going to waste it on a Twins season that's already down the drain after 3 games, Joe. That's what you're saying.
You know what I'm going to do? I'm going to enjoy talking as much trash about this team as I possibly can. I don't believe. Prove me wrong, I'll be very happy. But, until they start making something to believe in, doing something to believe in, I can't get on board. And I'm going to have to, act like an idiot talking about them because that's what I do.
I love it. I'm looking
You have
forward
to
to
give
this
it a month to even have like an idea of what kind of.
Well,
team
Tom
it is.
Kelly always said that 50 games is once you play 50 games, that's who you are, right? 50 games.
I agree.
I already know after 3, but I will give them 50 games and not cast final judgment until then. But prove me wrong.
Well, go read Joe's coverage all season long. I'm sure the optimism will just grow throughout this season over at Twins on
remember, that's like a false personality over there. The writer version of me is going to find the silver lining, right?
That's fair.
Because that's what fans want. They want hope. They don't want despair. They don't want this,
That's why we save it for the video platform.
Sick.
All right. That's enough for the video today. We've had a ton of fun. Go read all of our work over at Vikings, Twins, Timberwolves, and Gophers on SI. Hit subscribe to the YouTube channel. It does help us get found. Also notifies you every time we post a new video here. We'll talk to you tomorrow with another topic across Minnesota sports. Talk to you then.